This is the seventh gate of Kammasaka Zen, known as the emptiness and the physical. This is Dharma talk number 5. It's the interconnection of the seventh gate, emptiness and the physical, and the seventh ox-herding picture, the ox forgotten and the self alone. And also the koan, Joshua's wash your bowl. And also going to integrate the fifth step of the Eightfold Path, known as right living. The spiritual journey through Kammasaka Zen's seventh gate, emptiness and the physical, it resonates profoundly with the seventh ox-herding picture, the koan, Joshua's wash your bowl, and the fifth step on the Eightfold Path, which is known as right living. And it's together that these teachings form an intricate tapestry that unravels the relationship between emptiness, form, self, and action, and also ethical living as a manifestation of an awakened being. Each element illuminates an essential aspect of the Zen path, demonstrating that the transcendence of duality and the integration of emptiness into the physical realm are not merely philosophical concepts, but rather they are lived realities. And in the tradition of Kammasaka Zen, the seventh gate represents a profound recognition of the non-duality between emptiness and the physical. And this particular teaching, it reflects the Mahayana Buddhist principle, but the one that is particularly articulated in the Heart Sutra, that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. Now, this paradox, it captures the essence of Zen practice. And to approach the seventh gate is to dissolve the conceptual boundaries between the physical world and the emptiness from which it arises. So, it is not an abstract realization, but rather it's an embodied experience in which the practitioner perceives the unity of all phenomena. The seventh gate, it invites us as practitioners to transcend this dualistic view that separates the spiritual from the mundane. And then in doing so, it integrates the profundity of emptiness into the tangible world of action. And it's this integration that is the ultimate expression of Zen living. It's the ability to bring one's understanding of non-self and interconnection into every gesture, from sweeping the floor to preparing a meal. So emptiness is not an escape from the physical, but the realization that the physical itself is empty of inherent independent existence. So, the seventh gate, it becomes a gateway to living in harmony in the world as it is, but also to do it free from clinging, free from resistance, and free from delusion. The seventh ox herding picture in the series is titled Ox Forgotten and Self Alone. And this mirrors the inside of the seventh gate. In the progression of the 10 pictures, the ox symbolises that the practitioner's true nature, the awakened mind. And that it's by this seventh stage that the seeker no longer clings to the concept of the ox itself. Because now the ox is forgotten, because the duality between seeker and sought has now become dissolved. And it's in this state that there is no separation between the one who practices and the object of the practice. The self begins to exist in its natural state. It's unencumbered by striving or attachment. So this stage represents a deep internalization of Zen realization. The practitioner no longer needs external symbols or reminders of the awakened state, because awakening is no longer seen as separate from everyday existence. And this lovingly parallels the seventh gate's teaching on the unity of emptiness and the physical. So just as the ox is forgotten, the boundaries between spiritual and mundane dissolve, disappear. And then the practitioner moves seamlessly through life, embodying the profound simplicity of presence. The phrase, the self alone, it does not imply isolation, but rather an intimacy with life that transcends egoic boundaries. It reflects the state of abiding in the present moment, free from conceptual overlays. And this state is neither nihilistic or detached. It is vibrant, it is alive, and it is deeply connected to the world. So it's in this way, the seventh picture and the seventh gate, they both point in the same direction. They point to the same truth, the realization of emptiness within the very heart of form. And then the famous Zen koan, attributed to Master Joshu, provides a strikingly practical illustration of the seventh gate and the seventh ox herding picture. In the story, a monk approaches Joshu saying, I've just entered the monastery, Master. Please teach me. Joshu asks, have you eaten your rice? Have you eaten your morning porridge? When the monk replies that he has, Joshua simply says, then wash your bowl. This simple exchange encapsulates the essence of Zen practice. The profound is found in the mundane, and the awakening is expressed in the ordinary actions of daily life. So Joshua's instruction, wash your bowl, directs the monk and directs the reader towards the seamless integration of emptiness and the physical. the act of washing the bowl is neither elevated or diminished. It is just simply what needs to be done. So by washing the bowl with full awareness, the practitioner embodies the unity of form and emptiness. And this echoes the seventh gate teaching that emptiness is not separate from the physical world, but it's inherent within it. And through this understanding, even the simplest actions become expressions of the awakened mind. But this koan also resonates with the seventh ox-herding picture, the picture's theme of forgetting conceptual distinctions. So when the monk washes the bowl without attaching to the notion of sacred or profane, spiritual or mundane, he simply enacts the state of the self alone, described in the seventh picture. In this way, Joshua's koan serves as a practical gateway to the realization of emptiness. The emptiness that exists within daily life. And how it illustrates how Zen teachings are lived rather than merely understood. Now, the Eightfold Path, it's the framework for ethical and spiritual development in Buddhism, and it includes right living as its fifth step. Now, this teaching, it emphasizes living in a way that is harmonious with the principles of non-harm, compassion, and mindfulness. And it's at its core, right living is an expression of the understanding that one's actions impact the interconnected web of existence. It calls for ethical choices, choices that reflect the realization of emptiness and interdependence. The connection between right living and the seventh gate lies in the embodied nature of Zen practice. When a practitioner realizes the unity of emptiness and the physical, then ethical living naturally arises. So there's no need for rigid adherence to moral codes, simply because the practitioner's actions, they simply flow from an intuitive understanding of the concept of non-self and interconnection. And just as the seventh gate teaches that emptiness is found within the physical, right living teaches that ethical conduct arises from the awareness that one's place is within the greater whole. So similarly, right living reflects the spirit of Joshua's koan. Ethical living is not about grand gestures, but about the mindfulness and care with which one approaches each moment. Washing the bowl, preparing the meal, or just simply engaging in one's work can all become acts of right living when performed with awareness and compassion. This ethical dimension is also present in the seventh ox-herding picture, where the self alone exists in harmonious relationships with the world. So the practitioner, free from egoic striving, simply acts in alignment with the natural flow of life, thereby embodying ethical living as simply as an extension of their realization. So in the interplay between the seventh gate, the seventh ox-herding picture, Joshu's koan, and right living, together they reveal a profound truth about the Zen path. That awakening is not separate from the world, but is fully realized within it. And the seventh gate teaches that emptiness and the physical, they're one. They're one. And it dissolves the false dichotomy between the spiritual and the mundane. The seventh ox-herding picture illustrates the cumulation of this realization, where the practitioner lives effortlessly in harmony with the present moment. And Joshu's koan, it grounds this insight in the simplicity of daily life, reminding us that enlightened awareness is expressed in the most ordinary of actions. So finally, right living integrates these teachings into a framework of ethical conduct, and it demonstrating that awakened living is inseparable from mindful and compassionate action. So together, these teachings offer a holistic vision of the Zen path as one of integration and total embodiment. So the practitioner is called not to transcend the world, but to simply embrace it fully, recognizing the sacred within the ordinary and the infinite within the finite. In this way, the Zen journey becomes not a retreat from life, but simply a return to its essence. A life lived with clarity, compassion, and unshakable presence. Thank you for taking the time to listen today.